Django, welcome.
Thank you very much.
How did you go about choosing the band, and tell us a little bit about the music that you're planning?
Yeah, well, we had a talk about who would be at Cheltenham and who has been there and is associated strongly in the place of that generation of musicians. And very quickly I latched onto the possibility of Troika as a heart of the band, because quite often when someone from outside puts a band together, whether it's me or a promoter or someone, the temptation is to get your favourites, regardless of how they actually gel together. And so you get rhythm sections that maybe they're all stars and they're all soloists, but they don't actually create a rhythm section. So I was really keen to have Troika there because they're like a very tight rhythm section, and that's their band. They don't have a front man, it's all about rhythm.
Yeah.
They play those metric modulation games that I'm also very fond of, and they have a very unique sound, and they don't have a bass, which is part of their sound. Lots of interesting things about them. So to put that at the heart of it was the first step. And then, because I had a secret inspiration for this project, compositionally, which was James Brown. I say secret because you're not going to hear the music and go, wow, sounds like James Brown. It's more like a tiny starting point for the idea of this funky, I suppose, rhythm section, twisted funk, with those kind of strong horns. So because I had this secret inspiration of James Brown, I thought I need a bass player. So that was an interesting one, because looking at that generation, there weren't that many electric bass players. And then I remembered that Jasper Hoyden, I'd seen him play electric, although he nearly always plays acoustic. That's what he plays in his own band. I'd seen him play electric at someone's final exam concert in Copenhagen. So I persuaded him to play electric for this project, because that's a treat for me, and I think it would be unusual for everybody else. But again, you see, he's such a strong musician. He has this band which is doing really well, Phronesis, which is all about his personal voice. Yet again, it's very different. He also plays those metric games that Troika plays, so putting those people together is quite exciting for me. I realised just before this, making a few notes about it, that this is really the beginning of it. So when I'm writing the music, I have a section where I'll say possible solo space, which means there is a lot of defined material there, but there's also, I'm aware, there's Troika there, there's Jasper there, there's these great horn players, Dennis, Jay, and Shabaka, and James also. I have no idea what can happen with that group of musicians, but to say that possible solo space, I know that the band will evolve a lot, even during the first rehearsal, but beyond that, I think anything's possible.
These metric games, metric modulation, could you explain that in sort of non-musician terms? Because it's quite an important thing rhythmically, isn't it, that's happening now?
Yes, it is, yes, yeah. How to describe it easily. You have a pulse going on, let's say for this band, it might be quite a funky thing that's very recognisable and very clear, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You find another time scale that you overlap on the original one, and then you make the overlapped one the new tempo. So what you get then is a sudden change of tempo, which is very exciting for the audience, because most people don't even really know what's happened, especially when it's a very subtle change, but it changes everything. It's a bit like an earth tremor. You don't quite know what's happened, but all of the music is in a different context. And then you either can go somewhere else with it or go back. So you can have a piece that each time the melody comes around, it's a little bit slower, and you think something magical is happening here. And it's brings in a level of complexity, but I think there's always that choice whether you want it to be seen as a level of complexity or a game or an effect, or whether you actually don't want it to be noticed, you just want it to be felt by the audience.
And what's special about the Cheltenham Jazz Festival for you?
I think the most special thing about it for me has been the programme. It's quite unusual to be at a festival and see a lot of UK jazz presented, but it's quite unusual further on from that to see the most cutting edge and interesting and new parts of UK jazz presented, and that's in England or abroad. So I think it's wonderful to see that happening in England, a celebration of the young and the new as well as the established. I guess when you're putting a festival together, the idea is to attract as many people as possible, otherwise you don't have that community and you don't have the people in tents and you don't have the buzz. And so somehow there's a balance to be found, how you get people there and then how you get them to hear the new stuff as well as the great old stuff.
Right. Well, you are going to do a solo piano set.
I'm very happy to be playing at Cheltenham, yes.
Yes, and the Beloved Bird trio as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that.